Be ready. 3, 2, 1. Delhi has been proactive. Washington should deliver on finance and green technology. India and the United States US launched a clean energy financing initiative. The Climate Action and Finance Mobilization Dialogue CAFMD on Monday. US Special Envoy on Climate John Kerry lauded India's leadership for setting a target of 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030, while nudging New Delhi to commit to net zero carbon emission goals. Mr. Kerry's visit, the second this year, comes on the heels of a string of high profile visits to New Delhi ahead of the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP26, which begins on November 1st. The recently released Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report said the world will miss its target of keeping global warming to under 1.5 degrees centigrade over pre-industrial level. This threshold will be exceeded in the next 2 decades, resulting in a higher frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. India is seen as the world's third highest emitter of greenhouse gases after China and the US, though it has far less emission per capita than the other two. CAFMD has three parts. First, the US and India would develop proposals to curb emissions. The second is finance mobilization, focusing on attracting capital and green technologies for India. And the third is climate adaptation and resilience. Six of the largest banks in the US will invest a minimum of $4.16 trillion in the next 10 years to make the transition happen. CAFMD is part of the India US Climate and Clean Energy Agenda 2030 partnership reached in April by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Joe Biden. While Washington's promise to facilitate the availability of finance and clean tech to India can help accelerate the energy transition and restore the trust between the developing and the developed world. There is still a lack of clarity on the quantum and timelines for such a rollout. In fact, the $100 billion per year 2020-2025 that the developed world promised the developing world is still a work in progress, awaiting a clear delivery plan. While India recognizes the need to curb emissions, the West, which is building up diplomatic pressure before COP26, also needs to take into account the country's development imperatives. It is simply unfair to have a uniform timeline for all countries on net zero emissions, and India must stay the course and not make unviable commitments. The largest polluters with historical responsibility should first transition by 2030 or 2040 and give the developing world latitude to reach the goal.